No.
Are we live?
Hi, everybody.
Yay!
Thanks for joining us today, and happy Father's Day to all you U.S. people. And does Canada celebrate it today too, or was it yesterday?
I don't know. Well, do you want to
happy Father's Day to any dads or to your significant other?
Nora, can you explain to everybody?
Do we have a lot of feedback here? Yeah, so we were planning on coming on Three Chicks, and Jenny's just back from vacation, so maybe she just missed the time, or we're not really sure. But regardless, we are here to show you our exercise demos today, our favorite exercises, and also talk about support. So I think a lot of you know that we've been doing polls to see where the majority of your support comes from. The majority of our answers was in coaches. So we just wanted to talk about the difference between trainers and coaches, and how to pick a coach or how to pick a trainer going forward. But what are we going to lead with, Holly? You want to lead with our...
I'm here. I've met, right. Have you explained why there's only 2 chicks, Nora?
Yeah. We're not sure. Jenny just got back from vacation. She's had a little bit of difficulty coming back into the country, so we're not really sure what happened.
We think it might be post-Father's Day.
Jenny might show up.
Yeah, we're hoping so, right? So this has been like last minute, quick, but it's all sorted. And now we know that my laptop can go live to YouTube, which is even more awesome. So awesome. 2 Chicks is plowing ahead. So today, one of the first things that I would like to do is to talk. We wanted to share some of our personal favorite exercises, right? Because
yes, we do.
We spend a lot of time talking about mindset on this channel, which is super important because it's the basis for everything. But we realize that you guys love your fitness, and Nora herself always says, was it motion creates emotion? Is that right?
Yeah, motion changes emotion.
That's it. Okay.
Sure. So if you're having a bad day, just get into motion, and that will change pretty much everything.
Exactly. So that's why I was thinking we're going to come at it from different angles. So Nora's in her gym, which is a blessing she has on her property, which is so cool. I'm going to be showing just what to do at home if you don't have access to a gym. And if Jenny pops on, if she finds her way into the meeting, she's going to be demoing some home movements as well. So Nora, do you want to be the brave one to go first and show us some of your favorite moves?
Sure.
Awesome.
So I'm going to start with a deadlift, which is one of my clients' favorite. Everyone that comes in to start training is usually, if they're brand new to training, usually petrified of deadlifts. Petrified. Like they step away from the bar, they get all nervous. But deadlifts are one of the craziest moves, and I think they create the most power when you're starting out a lift. Like on my days where I'm doing back or doing legs, starting out with a deadlift makes me feel super duper powerful going into my lift. So the crazy part about deadlifts, and I'm sorry guys, my tripod broke just as I was coming live, of course, but one of the most important things about deadlift, and the thing that I want to go over the most, is like, especially if you're new, don't start out without knowing proper form for deadlift. So deadlift form is essential to not get your lower back, to not hurt your spine. Always remember that your spine goes up into the back of your neck. So you always want neutral, okay? But when I approach my bar, let me just move it. This is a little bit light. And I love dropping barbells.
I know.
Oh, Jenny's coming on. She just tagged us.
Oh,
so,
okay.
When I approach my bar, actually, let me move it over. Guys, I apologize. When I approach my bar, my first step is to get my feet underneath the bar, okay? And then I'm going to bend down, okay, opening up my hamstrings with a flat back. Notice that I cannot reach the bar here. So in a true Olympic deadlift, what I'm going to do to be able to reach the bar is bend my knees, keep my neck neutral, make sure there's a straight line between my head, my knees, and the bar. And then I'm going to lift it up with power. Ready?
Hey!
And I'm going to drop it. I always have my clients drop it because I feel like when you let it down, or when you're focused on the downward movement, that's where people can go a little wonky if you're new. So again, you just want to grab it, one hand over, one hand under, and lift through the middle of your feet, dropping your butt. Ooh. And again, throwing your hips through. So it's more of a power movement through your hips.
Okay. I love it. I love it. That gives people so much
Of
confidence.
course you love it, Hal. I don't know how many people. The other exercise that I would love to show you guys is a cable exercise. Now, cables are really, really important. These can all be replicated at home if you have bands. Okay. I'm going to use, I should have had this already set up. But I'm going to do a high chest cable crossover. And these really add to that taper. So when I'm training, when I'm lifting, my goal as a woman, generally speaking, is to make this part of me a little bit wider, or more toned, I should say, to create that illusion that our waist is much skinnier. That's
Hi,
our goal.
Jenny. Nora's
Hi,
teaching.
ladies.
Nora's just sharing.
Hi.
Awesome. Have you done yours already, Holly?
No, we just.
Okay, perfect.
Two chicks went
Fashionably
ahead.
late. Doing a little Father's Day video chat and we got carried away with the time.
I thought it
apologize.
would be Father's Day. I thought it would be.
Yeah. What are you demonstrating, Miss Nora?
Right now, I just did my deadlift, and now I'm going to go into chest cable crossovers.
Hey, I've got to say, I'm so glad that you did deadlifts. I'm not sure if anyone listening is resonating to this, but I am finding so many of my clients are getting more and more into the heavier lifts, which is my jam, your jam, Holly's jam. So I'm so glad to see it. So those of you, my clients who were watching Nora's deadlifts, I'm so stoked that you got to see that because, you know, that's the downside to being an online coach. We're not right there. Sometimes there's a lot of back and forth that happens through video chat and things like that. And it's just not quite the same as being in person, but that doesn't mean you can't do it.
Yeah, and
Nora,
I went over proper form, so hopefully everybody was paying attention to that.
Nora, I was going to ask you, I don't know if you said, what's the benefit of deadlifting? Like, what's it going to do for our bodies?
So deadlifts are going to work on really getting that butt, getting your lower back, getting your hamstrings, all that in shape. But most of all, like that functional core, those heavy, heavy lifts. Everybody always asks me all the time about abs. How do I get abs? How do I get abs? How do I get abs? And abs are really, I mean, you can work abs for sure, but in these heavy lifts, your core has to super duper be activated. So when it tightens, you know, when you lift it on the exertion, you always want to be exhaling and really giving in that supine vacuum to really engage your core. So the core benefit is huge, but of course, butt and hamstrings, our favorite topics. Those are what are really covered in deadlifts.
Cool.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Okay.
So
now, yeah, just going into cables. So a cable crossover, again, my goal with these is to kind of make my clients a little bit, I hate to say wider in the chest, but a little bit bigger through the chest so that it gives us that illusion of a really small waist. So that's why we do a ton of cable exercises. We do a ton of banded exercises and everything for the chest. Again, I apologize if this stupid tripod is broken.
It's been a crazy episode. This episode has been crazy.
I'm glad I'm not the only one making
You're
it
not
crazy.
the only one. It's fine. It's fine.
So guys, you want to bring the cables down, make sure that one leg is in front of you to kind of get your balance here. And I'm going to cross them over in the front. Now, the thing is that I want to leave my spine neutral again. So I kind of want to lean over to really engage my chest, open all the way up and cross them at the bottom. Whether you're doing, I want to keep my shoulders away from my ears, so I don't want to do them here.
Yeah.
That's not correct form. You want to keep your shoulders nice and back. I always say to my clients, very vulgar, tits out, ass out all the time. So
I love it.
you want to keep it out here and cross them over, really bring it into the chest. You should really do these in a mirror to see the chest cuts as they happen. And then cross them over on the front. I sometimes have them turn their wrists because that will close the movement, really close the movement all the way through. And you can see the benefit of them. you know, they're working triceps, they're working your arms, they're working shoulders, they're working everything kind of together, depending on how heavy you lift. The heavier you
say that, like, for anyone who is watching, Nora, we could really see your triceps engaging and your delts, even though this is primarily a pec engaged movement.
Right.
You can definitely see all those accessory muscles working.
Yeah, and it's highly beneficial.
Yeah, I love it. It's so lucky that one of us has got a gym to be able to do some of the bigger movements in. So now people that are working out in a gym, there's a couple of really good movements there for you, you know, and Nora explained the deadlift for beginners. So, you know, she was explaining how she works with her clients to drop it at the top, just to focus on the standing up. Now, in a commercial gym, they will shoot you if you do that.
Yeah. But if you hang out with guys, they usually do it that way, or Olympic lifters usually drop it.
Yeah, it's true, but it's I like it's a really good idea. It's a really good idea. Because
don't drop it if you're working out in gyms. Go a little bit lighter.
Yeah, it's awesome though. It's so cool. So, well, I'm going to be appealing to like the home people. Maybe you're in lockdown, like I think some parts of the UK are again.
In my bedroom.
Yeah, or you're in isolation, like Jenny in her bedroom. So the one thing that got me totally through lockdown when we were in lockdown was my pull-up bar. I just think they are amazing. So I'm going to move my little chair. And so let's see if you'll still be able to see me when I'm stood back here. Yeah, you can. Can you hear me from this far away?
Yeah.
It's a bit of a hands-on kind of episode. So, you know, when you're learning to do chins, which is like underhand and your hands are closer together, they're a lot easier to do than pull-ups because your hands are further away from your body and it's a little bit harder to do. But when you're learning, if you can get yourself a pull-up band, so that's like a long elastic band.
I have one, huh? Do you want me to show them what it looks like?
Yeah, you want to get, and it needs to be just right for your body weight, because it's going to be taking a large amount of your body weight. And if it's not quite heavy enough, you can't risk any of these things snapping, you know, it's serious stuff. Oh, perfect.
That's so guys, this is what it looks like.
That's a good
this is a Rage. This is a really sturdy one for my clients.
Right, so that's going to really help someone that's a heavier body weight. You know, you're going to be well supported with that. Because if you were in a gym, they have special machines, don't they? With sometimes with a seat that comes down, and you can put your knees on that and it will assist you. And it's the one machine in the gym that the heavier weight you go, the easier it is, which I love. That's one of the things I remembered. But I haven't got one to use, but I can show you how to set it up. So we're doing proper home session. So I've got like my fridge here, my thing here. But you would put your band right round in the middle and let it hang down. And then you could put like 2 knees or 1 knee in the band. And then with chins, you're going to want to have an underhand grip. Put your hands quite close together on the bar. Hopefully you can see this. Mm-hmm. You're going to let yourself hang. And there's going to be a moment where you're going to retract the shoulders. And then you're going to come up, chin over the bar, slowly down, all the way down, full extension. And then you retract the shoulders a little bit just before you come up to take the strain. And then up and slowly down. So when you're doing that, you're really working your back and you're like growing your wings, like your lats, your little angel wings, and you're just creating so much strength in your upper body. And then if you want to go on to do, again, you can still use your band that would be hanging, pull-ups with your hands further apart. You can just, you know, in the gym, you can put your hands really far apart, which is really awesome to really catch your back. But on here at home, you're probably just going to be like this far apart. And again, you're just going to hang down, retract the shoulders, come up and slowly down. Retract the shoulders, breathe out and slowly down. And you know what, while I'm here, I just thought of something. You can do a really cool abs movement on the bar, where hanging leg raises. Have you guys done them? Where you just hang. Oh man, I don't even know if I can. I'm quite off season, but I'm gonna try. I think I put my hands under hand grip, like when we're doing chins. And you just kind of hang because you don't want to swing. And then you're just in, down. Oh, they're like little crunches. Oh my goodness. And you know, even you can just like put your legs out, go like up, down. Oh my goodness. That is super hard, but it's so cool. I haven't done them for ages.
What
So
I love about
those are a few of my favorite. One piece of equipment. Huh, Jenny?
I said, what I love about that equipment is it's so simple. You can do so many different things on it, and it's pretty easy to get. Like, you know, right now, gym equipment is so high demand. It's hard to get dumbbells. It's hard to get barbells. It's hard to get squat racks. It's hard to get any of these things, but anyone can get a chin up bar for their home. It's fairly easy to find on Amazon or in Walmart.
I think that cost like I think that one was £12. And you can get them now that you don't have to actually put nails in. You can just screw them into place. Yeah. So you don't damage your doorway.
And one thing I love that you said, Holly, because I see this sometimes, someone will tag me in a video on Instagram or something, and I'm like, oh, you didn't have full range of motion. I'm sorry to say that wasn't a real rep.
Yeah, that's right. And that's where that's where the good stuff happens. I see it too. People are like, oh, I'm so brilliant. It's like, yeah, but would you be so brilliant if you do one all the way down? That's worth more than like 8 halfway.
Yes, exactly. I wish more people understood that. One full range of motion rep is better than 8 half reps for sure.
Yeah, but use the elastic band to help you, till you build up, because even your own body weight, it's lifting your own body weight. That's a lot, so you got to build up to that. But
when I first started in my journey, where my kids went to daycare, there was a playground, and I used to, on the way to the playground, I would stop at the monkey bars, and they were just little ones. They only came up to about my chin. They weren't full, really high monkey bars, but I would hang and I would just attempt to pull up. And I think that my kids started going to daycare there in the fall, so September. And by summer, by the time the school year was through, I could do 12 pull-ups. So it took a long time, but I just tried every day that I picked them up. I just tried. And for those of you who are thinking, oh, I'll never do a pull-up, because I know I've heard that come from some of my clients, you can, and you will. Just keep pushing through like everything else.
And I love the way you said about the hanging, because do you know what? It's a great way to reset a bad back, is just hanging. I know so many people that do this, and there's lots of articles about it. Just hanging and kind of letting yourself twist naturally. Your body weight is just hanging and falling and into place. So there's a lot to be said for just hanging around.
Oh, beautiful. I love it. All right, I'm going to get myself set up. I'm in an odd spot. I wish I was in my gym. I do have a gym down in my basement, but I am quarantined right now. So
Jenny's injured.
And I'm injured. So I sprained my ankle, which means that I'm going to be doing something upper body. Now, what I'm going to show you guys, you'll never find if you go to Google it. I call them 28s, and my clients are always like, what the heck's a 28? So I did make my own little YouTube video on it, and I'll go on to this video later and I'll drop the link to that in the comments. 28s are literally something that I just made up. I put these on the end of a lot of my clients' upper body days, particularly if they have a split where they are focusing primarily on shoulders. And I call them 28s because there's 28 reps in them, similar to 21s are called 21s because there's 21 reps of them. So it's all delts. And I would definitely recommend starting off with a lighter weights. I have 8s right now, and this is going to be hard for me. When I get to number 28, I'm going to be pretty well burnt out. So I personally like for most of my clients to train in hypertrophy, so 8 to 12 reps. So throwing 28 reps in is definitely something I would save for the very end of the workout. I wouldn't put this at the beginning of anyone's. I wouldn't want them to fatigue their delts. And the reason that I want to show this one is because one thing that I hear all the time from women is, I hate the bat wings under my arms. I don't like the shape of my arms. I don't like to wear sleeveless shirts. I'm really insecure when people can see my arms. So your delts are this round muscle here at the top. You've got your front, your medial, and your rear delt. And this is going to hit all 3 of those. So this will really help give that cap shoulder appearance that you might not think like, oh, I want cap shoulders. That's my non-scale goal. But if you're telling me that you're uncomfortable in sleeveless shirts, that tells me you kind of do want cap shoulders. So a lot of the times we say we want muscles without actually saying we want muscles.
Yeah.
So This guy again, 28 reps. So I'm going to do 4 movements, 7 reps each, and no rest in between. I'm just going to go down a little so you can see where I've got these dumbbells, my little sitting area in my bedroom. So I'm going to, I have tendonitis. So you'll notice that for myself, I always have a bend in my elbow. Some people like to do these with a really straight arm, and that's okay too, but I do have tendonitis. So I always bend my elbows with any delt movements. So that being said, I'm just going to stop when my arms are parallel with the ground. That's 1 and 2, just a lat raise, 3, and
She's so
4,
strong. Yeah.
You
can see all your muscles working, Jen.
And 6 and 7. And then I'm just going to switch. I'm going to switch the place of my hands. So now my palms are facing in front of me. And I'm also going to go to 7. And you can see a little tiny impingement in my left shoulder. I don't know if you guys noticed that. My left shoulder doesn't go quite as far as my right one does because I do have a little impingement as well.
You hide it very well. It's not obvious.
Thank you. It's not obvious. And then this is 7. And then I'm going to go front. A lot of times I see people go all the way over their head. You don't want to go all the way over your head with this. You just want to stop when your arms are parallel with the ground. And 4 and 5. I'll go sideways for the last movement. 6 and 7. And then for the last movement, I'm just going to slide these dumbbells down to my knees, nice straight back, and I'm going to do rear delts.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah.
4, 5, 6, and 7. So again, if you Google 28s, you're not going to find anything. I made them up.
I like that. We're original here.
I love them as a finisher, and I'll usually do 2, sometimes 3 sets, depending on how much gas I have left in the tank. I'm sure you ladies agree. Like by the end of my workout, I want to be fatigued. I want my body to have done all that it can do. So if I'm truly fatigued, I can only do 1 set of those. If maybe I didn't push it quite as much as I could, I'll have enough gas in my tank to do 2 or possibly even 3. So I think that's a great finisher. I can feel it already. I didn't warm up or anything. I'm like, ooh.
Nice. I know, but that's really cool. That's a great one. You know, I bet my clients are going to be excited to see that, and they're going to be like, right, Holly, we want to do that now.
And I've even had some clients do it with bands. And I'm like, that's a great idea. You know, the bands with the handles, the long straight
so
ones.
just standing on them. So yeah.
Yes. And you know, that's something you can do from home. I mean, these 8-pound bad boys, I had a billion of them. Like with equipment being so high in demand right now, it is really challenging to find, but I'm finding that you can find the little weights. So if you don't have weight heavy enough to really fatigue you, do some more reps. It's not my favorite, but it's effective.
Yeah, I think that's so cool. And you know what? So we've shared now a few of our little moves, which people can try out if they want to add them in, or maybe they're movements that they're already using, but in a different way that they haven't thought about doing it before. So it's given you a bit of food for thought. But the other thing that we really wanted to talk about, and this kind of leads into it in a way, because we are coaches, 3 of us across our different continents. And we really wanted to talk about support, didn't we? And how that fits in with someone's health and fitness schedule. Now, I know that it's Father's Day today, and Jenny was on a call with her dad.
I'm so sorry, you guys. I was like, different time zones. I was like,
good reason. Yeah, a good reason.
Thank you.
But, you know, dads usually are a very supportive role in some way in families. So we were like, okay, Father's Day, support. We should talk about support and what that looks like to people. Like, what does support really mean to you? What kind of person gives you support, and how important is it? So this is something that we wanted to talk about today as well, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm not the only one who actually surveyed my following on Instagram and on Facebook, and I asked them, you know, who is the most supportive person in your life? And there were 2 top answers. One was a long shot, my coach. That was like the most supportive. Everybody said my coach, but that's not a coincidence because of course a lot of my following works with me, and I'm sure for your ladies as well. But very second was spouse, and a lot of our spouses are fathers too. I mean, we're not all parents, but a lot of us, you know, my husband, he's my rock. He's definitely my support system, and I think he's setting an amazing example for our kids. And I'm sure Nora would agree. What was the general consensus with your groups, ladies?
With me, it was coach.
number one. Yeah, coach came out number one across the board, I think, right, for all of us. Holly, didn't it come out for you too?
It did.
And then it was significant other, then it was spouse as well,
Yeah.
or significant other. So it's funny that it was, across the board the same thing.
Well, let's talk about the coaching part then. What's the difference between a trainer and a coach? Like, can you guys speak to that? Is there a difference?
Can
There's
we
this
speak to
world
that?
of
We could go
difference.
on for days. How much time do you have?
Yeah, exactly.
You take it away, Nora. You take it away.
Yeah.
Well, I think that, I go back to when I first started when I first started working out. And I think that anyone can look up on Instagram what we teach, again, the science of the achievement, the food, the workouts. That's no big secret. That's no big secret. Anyone on Instagram or Facebook or whatever can give you their workouts, can dial up their apps. They have all the programs that we have. They give you all your workouts. But what you generally lack when you don't have a coach is the support, and support being, like, for my clients, when they come in, it's really knowing that person and knowing, I tell my clients all the time, unfortunately, that, my job as a coach is to be their soulmate, and sometimes most of the time, I force them to look at their own lies that they like to tell themselves. That's how I believe my support system is. Like, when I look at my husband is my soulmate, not because he tells me what I want to hear, but he tells me what I need to hear as well. So I think when you're on a journey looking for a lifestyle change and looking for something that's going to last, that's the difference between a trainer and a coach. A trainer is going to tell you what to do to achieve your goals, but they're not going to make sure that you stick to your plan to really change your life. This is a lifestyle change. So a lot of things have to change. How you eat has to change. How you move has to change. When you wake up sometimes has to change. How you handle yourself in your profession has to change. How you handle stress has to change. And I think that so many women lack that kind of support without coaches. I know I did for the longest time, because people don't understand when you have goals, you get to that glass ceiling, you get to that comfort level, and your inclination is, well, I've lost 10 pounds, so that's great. And that's where people tend to fall off the wagon, because once you've achieved your goal, your brain says, I've achieved my goal. And then, you're back on the gerbil wheel in 3 months of saying, I achieved my goal. I'll have that jelly donut, or I'll have that beer, or whatever it is that you want. So I think coaches are definitely different than that, because they'll say, like, you've achieved it, but we could go somewhere else now.
I totally agree. When I first got into my health and fitness journey 10 years ago, when I was overweight, I hired a trainer first, and she gave me a meal plan and a workout program. And yes, of course, anyone would have lost on that. And I did. It took me a very long time, because I cheated all along the way, because I couldn't just eat chicken, rice, vegetables, egg whites, and rice cakes for the rest of my life. So, I did gain back, but then that experience taught me so much, and I ended up moving on to a coach after having a trainer, and I noticed a difference right away, and it was in support. I always tell my clients, I am not your cheerleader. I'm your coach. That means that I am supposed to be the most honest person in your life. So if you are, excuse my language, fucking the dog, then I'm going to tell you. Where do you think you're going to be if you continue down that path for the next 6 months, versus taking ownership and taking personal responsibility for these goals that you've set out for yourself. I really do believe that support is key in anyone's journey, whether it's their body composition or their internal healing and growing as a human, or their career or relationship, whatever it is. Support is absolutely key. And without a coach, I'm a lifer. I'm always going to have a coach. I don't really see myself without a coach. I don't know how anyone is really supportive. You must have an awesome support system at home if you're supportive without a coach.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And I knew, like, when I decided that I wanted to start Joy Training, I knew that I wanted to be a coach, not a trainer. So I've always trained in gyms for quite a while now, and I would often see regulars coming in on quite a regular basis, doing the same little workout in the corner, never changing, never looking different. And that's fine. If all they wanted to do was just come and do their thing and go, that's fine. But I bet actually they wanted to change their bodies, change everything about themselves, but they couldn't, because they would just come in with their trainer, do the same thing, and then leave and be alone, and trying to navigate their way through what to eat to support their fitness, how to think, how to sleep, how to navigate going out to eat, and all of those kind of things that your normal life, that 40 minutes in the gym 3 times a week, you're not going to be able to make changes just from that alone. And I knew I couldn't help people in that way, which is why I wanted to become a coach, because I could see the difference already between a coach and a trainer, you know. And I mean, there are times like much later in life where so me as a bodybuilder now, I compete, I'm all right to just have a trainer. So my trainer is online, and I just send my check-in pictures to him. He sends them back, and we tweak my food, and that's all. I don't get any more support than that, but I'm okay with that. I need more support in other areas of my life, like with my business, etc. I'm a beginner all over again. So, you know, that a trainer can have their place, but actually, I think you need to have had the proper coaching at some point first to be successful along the way.
And one thing that I didn't love about being a trainer myself is that I felt like, you know, it was my job just to count reps. And I knew that some of my clients were going home and binging on McDonald's on the way home. I knew that they weren't taking advantage of the different areas of, you know, working on their mindset, working on their nutrition. They were just coming to me to count their reps. And yeah, I would give them some really kick-ass workouts, you know. I'd give them some great workouts that would lead to awesome results, and a lot of them saw great results, but I knew that they were missing those parts of their journey. And it's a, you know, it's a fine line. How can I say, hey, you know,
Yeah, and I think we see that too. I mean, you know, it's interesting to me that people would, I think our job as coaches is to educate people, but the benefit that we have is that we see a large group of our clients. You kind of know, like my job is to kind of see what's going to happen down the road, or anticipate what may happen down the road to kind of prepare them better. But I think that likewise, when I was a trainer, I definitely saw people that had results, but it was keeping them on track and keeping them progressing. Anyone can have results. I mean, people come to me wanting to lose 10 pounds, 15 pounds, and they're done. But are you ever really done? Like, it has to kind of, you know, I would hope that most people are on this weight loss or fitness journey, whatever you want to call it, not to just improve your body, but to improve your mind, to improve your spirit, to improve you as a human, to improve your career, to improve your relationships. That's a coach's job, is to kind of help you branch out through this. Any trainer can give you the body that you want, but the body that you want in a miserable spirit, in a miserable life, in a miserable job is not going to help.
Well, guess what, Nora, as well? If they get the body they want and they're not in a good mindset, they can't even see it or appreciate it. I have had many clients like that have been in incredible shape, not seen it, been utterly miserable, and later looked back at those pictures and gone, oh my God, I wish I looked like that now. I see now how great I was. So actually, if you don't do the mindset work, even if you're in incredible shape, if you can't see it and you're not happy, it doesn't matter, does it? It's all about perception. So the second thing that the guys said on the poll was spouses being so important. Like, what, I mean, I'm a single person, and all of my competitions have been done as a single person. So in a way, I'm kind of lucky, because the only things in my cupboards are what I eat. So I'm kind of lucky because I have.
You are so lucky.
In that way, I am. You know, it has pros and against, but I have like at least one client that's she wants to get her 6-pack abs for her birthday, and she's on track to do it. But it's been a tough, you know, really tough journey for her. Her spouse, they're fantastic because they're totally honest and communicative. He eats his normal food, you know, why should he change because of her thing? And she has to accept that. But I can imagine it's 10 times harder, because you can smell they're having their takeaway, but it's not for you this time. And, you know, I wonder, what does that, like, what kind of impact does that have on you guys with journeys and things like that? You know, what difference does it make to you if they're on board with what you're doing, or holding you back, or I don't know.
Well, that depends on how well you've mastered your own mindset, because there have my husband commutes, so he's home 1 week and gone 1 week. And if I'm in a bad mind space, then I'll be like, you're sabotaging me. You know, I'll just put the blame on him. It's so easy to put the blame on him, right? Then I don't have to put the blame on myself. I don't have to self-reflect. I don't have to change my habits or behaviors. But on the flip side, I mean, my journey myself, my husband was always the active one. He was always just naturally built, lots of energy, always wanting to be active, always wanting to do things outside with the kids. And I was in a terrible mind space when I started my journey a decade ago. I was very depressed, overweight. The kids were small. And if he parked really far away at Walmart, I would get so angry. I would be like, you should go and drop me off at the front door. I am not walking all the way across this parking lot. Like, I was just not in a good space. So when I started my journey, he was extremely supportive at first. He was like, awesome, finally, you know, we can do things together. And then he actually got a little insecure because I was spending a lot of time at the gym. And I'm speaking to this, even though we're talking about support, because I know that this is something that some of my clients deal with as well. And he was a little insecure, and he started to see my body change, and he started to see people looking at me differently, people treating me differently, people talking to me differently than they had before. And I think that intimidated him a little bit. Now he did do another full circle and come back and begin to be supportive again. But there was that little blip there where the support was gone for a minute. And, you know, support is key, but you have to decide that you're going to bet on yourself first. You know, support is extremely important in being successful. But if you haven't 100% committed to yourself, if you lose that support, even if it's just for a temporary amount of time, like it was in my case, then what's going to happen? Are you just going to spiral because you no longer have that supportive spouse? Or, you know, if you are in a short-term relationship and you end up breaking up with your spouse, well, then what are you going to totally spiral because you no longer have that spouse? So while I do think having a supportive spouse is important, you can't entirely rely on that, because as anyone in a long-term relationship knows, there's ebbs and flows. Sometimes you're totally in sync and sometimes you're not, and that's okay. That's normal for any relationship. But you've got to not entirely rely on that support from your spouse, I think. I know it's not the most positive way to look at things, but it's realistic.
Yeah, I agree. What do you reckon, Nora?
It's hard with spouses. Like, you know, my husband and I have been together like 25 years now. We have 6 kids together. He does not work out. He's much different than I am. He's a total bad boy in every aspect. That is what I loved about him. As my life changed, like Jenny says, as I got my stuff together, he kind of at first was like a little bit not jealous or envious. He just didn't understand it. And I think that the more I got into it, then I became a trainer. Now I'm a coach, and I dedicate a lot of my time to my job. I dedicate a lot of my time to my clients. My husband does feel left out, and it's really important for me to understand that his support of me is much different than my support of other people. So I think support to different, whether your spouse is supportive or not, they are supportive in some way, whether you deem like your friends. Like, as we change, like, I'm lucky enough that my husband, you know, makes a life that allows me to do pretty much what I want with my clients, and I have the freedom to do that. He's with the kids now at the beach on Father's Day by himself because I'm doing a podcast.
Oh, like, Nora.
Yeah, those are the things that I really have to appreciate. And I think that most of us, when we start changing, I hear this from my clients all the time, like, my husband isn't supportive, he doesn't support what I do. But that's not true. He might not understand why you're lifting, why you want to change your body, but in other areas of your life, they are ridiculously supportive. So it's our job, again, to find those things to be grateful for, to not nitpick. Like Jenny says, don't shift the blame. Well, I don't have someone that's supportive of my lifting, and try and shift the blame. Because really, the bottom line is you're always going to be your number one supporter.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And what about then, because one of the other things that came up on the polls was the support of friends. And, there's a few things in that area that come up, aren't there? Like, I love the idea that that you can meet your friends for like sports, and it's so much fun to do that. So like going out cycling, going hiking, swimming in the sea here, and then you can go for coffee afterwards or whatever. A lot of, when I was in a commercial gym, a lot of people like to do classes and then all have their coffee and social time together, so it was a real community bonder. I really do think sports are the great uniter of people. And I guess that as you progress through a fitness journey, because I've got some clients that, the kind of friendships they had before was going out drinking every weekend. Well, now they want to get fitter and they want to change. So either their friends are going to have to change with them or accept them as the new version they are, or they're going to have to move on to new friends, right?
Right.
I'm so glad you brought that up. My group and I, we just discussed this last week. In this journey, you're bound to outgrow people, because when you decide to start focusing on yourself and you decide to start growing, not just in your body, but in your mindset as well, you do shift energetically. And unfortunately, sometimes that means outgrowing people. And it's a really tough pill to swallow. It's not comfortable for any of us. I've experienced this myself lots throughout the years, and it's just very uncomfortable, but it is necessary. What I've told to my clients is, if somebody falls out of your life, they're making space for someone else who's meant to be there, because at the end of the day, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most of your time with. So if all of your friends only want to go out drinking, they're not interested in your journey, they, sometimes you get people who like question you, like, well, why are you doing that? You're spending all your time in the gym. Do you even spend time with your kids anymore? Those types of comments.
Guilting you.
Yes, guilting you, because they feel uncomfortable because they wish that they were doing that, but they don't have the, drive and self-discipline to do it themselves. So yes, having supportive friends is extremely important. And in my community, I know that a lot of my clients befriend each other. Right. Whether they're, the world away. I've got some clients in, Western Canada and some clients in the Eastern US. They're literally a whole continent away from each other, but they're forming these really strong friendships because unfortunately they're finding that sometimes in their personal lives, their friendships are falling apart. And again, this is something I deal with. And I always say, you can't be mad at those people. You've just got to have compassion for them. They're doing the best that they can given the state of mind that they're currently in. Maybe they'll come back, maybe they won't. Have compassion for them, wish them love, and just know that they're doing their best, and their best just might not be able to handle the fact that you're growing so much. So yes, it's important to have supportive friends, but just know if someone's not supportive, it might be better if you let them go rather than sort of be brought down.
Because you are naturally attracted to people that are on the same path as you. That's just natural, isn't it? When you get into anything, like in our business coaching group, one of the things I love about that is being surrounded by a ton of people doing the same thing as me in different ways.
So I find inspiring.
That yeah, it's so inspiring. And I want to, if I love something or I'm focused on something, I want that in my life. I want to be surrounded and saturated by that, because that, and I think that's perfectly normal. Like they say, birds of a feather flock together. It, in life, we do change and evolve. So either people can change and evolve with you, or they can't come with you on your journey if that's where you're going, So you're right. It's I say to my clients a lot when they work with me, it isn't just about workouts and eating good, which is always what they think it is when they first sign up. But I've got clients now that, because I've only been coaching a year almost, that have been with me almost a year, and they realize that it changes your whole life. The things that we've done together, raised thousands of pounds for charity and supported each other. Like my client had a walk around the island yesterday, and me and another client came down, and all my clients were supporting her. Your life changes so much, just from starting out being to do with your health and fitness. It trickles into other areas of your life, and you cannot avoid the mindset work, because if you are capable of changing your body, and everybody is, getting your six-pack through, getting the nice shoulders, losing the bingo wings, that all comes from mindset, right? You can't do that without belief, discipline, the ability to prioritize things, you know. And I think those are wonderful things to learn along your journey. You're going to find out a lot about yourself, right? You're going to find out what you're capable of.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that like work for a living, and there's people that understand that like the work is never done, you know, and that's how I kind of choose my friends. Like I have friends who are competitive bodybuilders. Obviously, I have you guys. I have, you know, my coaches are my friends, my clients are my friends. And it's interesting as you go on, like I just, it's not that I don't have time for people, but some people are just living their life. It's just, they wake up, the day takes control of them, they let the day control them, they go on, they're happy. And I'm not taking anything away from it. It's just that those aren't my kind of people. I wake up honestly thinking, how can I perfect myself? I love the fact that my coaches are constantly picking at me. I mean, people will say to me all the time, like, how do you get your arms? How do you get your shoulders? I'm like, you know, and my coaches are like, why didn't you do, you know, the rear delt, blah, blah, blah. Like you don't have the third line. And I'm like, oh, but it's something that like the work is never done. Like I like the fact that people are constantly saying to me, like, you know, well, you could improve this and you could improve that. Those are the kind of friends that I choose. So I think that that's really important too. I think that's important. An important aspect of when you're training is to build that courage, get rid of that fear, to understand that nothing is impossible. That's the reason that we coach, because things are going to come at you in life, in the gym, in outside that you can't control. And how do you face that? You have to have built courage. You have to have built bravery. You have to have built faith. And the only place that I know how to build that is with iron and box jumps.
It's so true, isn't it?
I think having supportive friends ties right into having a coach as well, because, you know, we all have created these really strong tribes of men and women who are all on the same journey, whether it's in our client only group or whether it's in our public group. They really truly are a tribe. Like it's such a strong community of people who just really want to see each other do well, because we don't always have that in our personal life. So if you don't have that in your personal life, it's important to seek it out, whether it's through a coach or through an online group. Or I know I've got lots of your clients in my groups, and you guys have my clients in your groups, and I always hear great feedback like, oh, I saw this in Nora's group, I saw this in Holly's group. I'm like, that's awesome, I love it. And you know, it's amazing, because again, we don't always have it in our personal life. Like, you know, I come from a family of almost everyone's overweight. Nobody cares about what they eat. And then I show up and they're like, Jenny, do you even eat? I'm like, I eat like a horse. Like I eat so much food. You have no idea. I eat more than my maintenance is.
That's what we should do for our next podcast, is show people what we actually eat.
Oh, mine would be so boring. An egg.
That would be so boring.
No, but we eat a lot, like, you know, and again, tying that back into support. Maybe your friends are supportive, maybe your spouse is supportive. Your community and your coach will always be supportive, not maybe. And it might not come out again like the rah cheerleader kind of support. Sometimes, whether we realize it or not, support is some real talk as well.
Yeah, and you know what? To conclude this talk today, I think what we've come around to is you need to invest in someone or some people in your life that teach you and enable you how to support yourself. Because ultimately you are the only person you can really have ever in your life. You come in here alone, and that's how you're going out. So you want to learn best you can while you're here how to take care of yourself, how to be the best you. And coaches and some friends and your spouse, they can all give you ways to do that. and you can take that and make use of it, but ultimately it has to be you that does the heavy lifting, right?
Mhm. You'll never regret investing in yourself. I mean, all three of us can attest to that. We've all invested in coaches for our physical transformations and coaches for our business transformations, and not one of us has regretted it. I've had 6 coaches myself. Like I said earlier, I'm going to be a lifer. I will always have a mentor because every single time that I invest in myself, it pays off tenfold.
Well, that's good advice. I'm loving that. Well, guys, I reckon we should end this here because we've shared some of our favorite movements. Is there anything else you guys wanted to say to your audiences or anything?
Not just had a happy Father's Day.
Yes, and happy Father's Day. There's some dads in my group. I'm celebrating you today, and I mean every day really. I grew up with a stepdad and a real dad that I never saw until I was an adult, and a father-in-law who's been my father-in-law since I was 14. I mean, we didn't get married till we were 20, but dads are such an important part of our lives, and we appreciate everything that you do.
100%. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will discuss what we're going to talk about next month. But if there's anything burning that you really would like us to cover, I'm kind of liking Nora's food idea just because I really want to learn about food from Nora and Jenny because these guys are super.
Oh yes, let's do it, sister.
And we all have 3 different philosophies surrounding food, so it will be
we're like very different, but that's cool.
Awesome. I love that.
Competitive bodybuilders day, it's the same every day.
I love that so much. Great.
Okay, maybe we'll do that then. But for now, I guess we'll wish everybody goodbye, and I'll stop going live.